Taz, I want to personally welcome you to this series without end. We're going to be covering Helter Skelter, the most famous true crime book of all times by Vincent Bugliosi and his wonderful ghostwriter, Kirk Gentry. There's so much to cover here. We're just going to keep it rocking. My great co-host, Casey Fields, and I. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Back in the day, brought to you by Deschutes Brewery, our non-existent sponsor. Happy 25th episode. All love to our sexy producer who you can't look at yet. Ladies, we're going to have to get some Alex repellent for you. He's back there, producer Alex, my wonderful
25,
co-host.
man. Wow.
So glad to be here. Hopefully, he's going to be baby terms soon. People are going to look back at these for free on the internet fondly with nostalgia. Man, remember when those TG guys first started? What a bunch of wacky kids. That was before Deschutes got involved and started sending them free hoppy non-alcoholic beverages.
Only the best.
Only the finest. But of course. I'm going to flip it around this way because y'all misprinted this motherfucker for television. I'm sorry. But let me, on the plus side, them motherfucker drank good. This baby drinks good. 25 wonderful episodes. Didn't know how this was going to play out because lots of vitriol, lots of corn crunching, and what has been referred to as the Manson sphere. So, shouts out to our greats, starting with the wonderful Lynn Alice Fromy, the ever present in our hearts and knowledge base, Miss Deb Silva.
Shout out to Robert, our number one fan.
Oh, man, the original Bobby V. Are we giving shouts out to Mr. Bob Waldner,
My man.
dearest of friends, closest of compadres? One of the first prayers off my lips every morning, sir. Love you, Bob. So we're getting down here to really give our respects to, especially George Stimson, who we really appreciate. Truly, his insight, his friendship, and frankly, his gatekeeping. People don't like George Stimson's gatekeeping. I'm a big fan of it. I think gates need to be kept. I think some of you scroungy bastards shouldn't get too close. And I'm really glad to be one of the people who've been blessed with this community. And I want to thank everyone for having us here on episode 25. What are your thoughts, Casey?
Man, 25. I remember when we first got going, right? There was no table. We were rocking the bigger chairs.
I hit the table.
Look at producer Alex has hooked us up with better sound, better camera. You got this beautiful lighting behind us.
Dude,
we're looking like a real professional podcast.
And it's something I've been working on for many, many years. Not bandwagon jumping, but a real dream I'd had for a long time. Worked with different people, including my dear friend, Mr. Max Webb, who is a noted Hollywood producer and ran the Jimmy Kimmel set for years live. Did a lot of wonderful things in the industry. Really glad to have had his contribution to these wonderful lights and just some knowledge and kind insights. His idea was the table. Apparently got tired of staring at our crotches. So if you want to go back and see our crotches, go back.
Moose knuckle.
I'm just saying, go beyond episode 22 and you could probably see some sweet moose knuckle out there. Ladies, I offer it up in the name of what is holy. There's a lot of coincidences that brought us to episode 25 of Twilight Garage, including my ownership of a very unique Volkswagen that I had for more than 25 years. It was a Volkswagen panel van, and it came in a color known as sealing wax red. There was a lot of custom things that had been done as a dealer conversion with this vehicle. There are very few of them done. They were all red. They were all 61s. It was a very short-lived program. I could run down a lot of the equipment about it that would bore the living
The
hell
red
out
was
of you.
original color.
Exactly. The term is sealing wax red. But the thing was, I'd owned one for many years, traded it for my first Porsche about 6-7 years ago. And then in studying the case again, what? Wait, what? I see the picture. Gary Hinman's 1961 Volkswagen bus. Well, I know every single detail about that vehicle from stem to stern because I restored one.
So I came with David on this the other day because I was going deep into some court transcripts that was talking to a Mr. Glenn Krell. Glenn Krell, shout out. I don't know if you're still with us. Was a really good friend of Gary Hinman's. He actually was the owner of the music school that Gary worked at. Down there in West Hollywood, real close to the Santa Monica border. But Glenn Krell purchased Gary Hinman's VW.
Very interesting fact. A lot of you don't know about, which for me has always cast a bit of shade on Gary's character, which I feel is justified. I don't think he was this innocent Buddhist. I think the way he went out was really shitty. I don't know that he deserved it. But as a dope seller, as a known dope seller in a very populated area, if you don't service your debts and you don't give good customer service, things can happen to you that are quite negative. And this is the most extreme of examples, of course, which is being murked out by people who are very acquainted with, people who are allegedly friends.
So some of you might be thinking, man, big case on the case, just blew it. You just messed up there. But I didn't. I didn't share the whole story on that. So you might be thinking Mark Arneson was the one that the Hinman's VW was given to by Charlie.
Very classically stated.
Yes, which is absolutely true. But before Gary's unfortunate passing, he made a deal with this owner of this music store. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll sell you my VW for $700. And I don't know what kind of price that was back in 69.
That was fair. These things were a running disaster. A very small motor, single port induction for the fuel air mixture. So zero power, terrible transmission called a crash box, non-synchronized, awful vehicle. Last year of the very desirable round tail lights. There's some cool things about it, but that wasn't a terrible price.
He had customizations inside.
Absolutely. He had taken out some of the interior that came stock in that. There was an eating area with a fold-up table and some bench storage and some different things he removed to create more of a utilitarian hauling vehicle, which was actually pretty smart in the time because there wasn't a big value as a vintage vehicle. The thing was like 7 years old at that point. Like, who really gives a shit about it? The coincidence again for me, I saw the body, the identical body that had not been molested. The doors were opened, had really nice clean seals. It's stored inside the office of a junkyard in San Francisco. It's 1992.
Wow.
I'm 24. I see it. Has the very desirable camper, has this very desirable 1961.
And made by who did you say?
It's California Customs. They did dealer conversions for campers and different things that were very popular at the time. It's a very short-lived partnership. They only did this one run of them that I'm aware of. They're all identical. I've seen 3 of them in person. Like I say, I owned that one for many years. But I paid in, like I say, 92, I paid 700 for mine.
Wow.
No training, no motor, but in basically brand new shape otherwise. It had 27,000 original miles on it because that terrible power plant coupled with the shitty transmission, they both blew up.
Wow.
So the shell was perfect, but I had to go through 4 or 5 transmissions before I could find a running workable one because there was no way at that time to test a transmission other than to install it and put power to it. So I had to pull motors and transmissions 5 times before I got a viable transmission in that thing. Really knew that vehicle well. And that's a crazy thing. So he made this deal.
Yeah, so he made this deal in the late spring of 69 with Glenn. And it wasn't cash exchanging hands. It was actually, they agreed on less of a commission. So kind of like I think in the tattoo world, sometimes tattooers will come into a space and they'll give a commission to the owner of the store, right?
Sure.
So that's what Glenn was doing. He was taking a commission of Gary's music lessons. Gary was teaching piano, drums, trombone, all these things at this music studio. He had a full clientele of young musicians he was working with while he was a PhD student at UCLA at the time. Now, Glenn said, I'll tell you what, you will, until this $700 is paid off, you just go ahead and keep 100% of your commissions. Don't pay me any kind of rent for the space. And you let me know when, it's been fully paid and the pink slip will be handed over. Well, by the time that Gary was killed, it had been 2 or 3 months. So Glenn had acquired about $200 or $300 worth of equity in that vehicle at that point. Glenn had planned on taking ownership or taking the keys in the vehicle the week prior to Gary's murder. Except Gary said, no, I need to hold on to it for 1 more week because I'm doing some rock work on my driveway and I need the van to haul this rock. So he held on to it. Next thing you know, he's killed. Bruce Davis, Charles Manson come to Hinman's house. They drive off in the VW. Beausoleil takes off in Hinman's Fiat. And this Glenn Krell is SOL, man. Not only did he lose his good friend, one of his workers,
like his best
worker in his music studio, plus the guy loses his vehicle, never gets compensated for his ownership.
Terrible all the way around. And what a just extreme drag. But this whole thing with Hinman being the super innocent, sweet guy, I just see more nuance in it. And I think that's great. But man, that ill-fated Fiat, I can't get over why you would stuff a giant Toyota motor in a running Fiat.
And they asked Krell about that when he testified in Bobby Beausoleil's trial. And he said what it was is Gary couldn't stand how weak that engine was. And so he dropped this oversized Toyota engine in this Fiat. And the thing just never ran right from that point on.
It never does.
No.
And then you see that radiator issue. What a cop magnet with the headlights all like burr, 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 burr. Like, what are you thinking, hippie boy, with your manufacturing drugs? You're going to drive around in this super sketchy looking vehicle. Look it up while we're sitting here talking. We'll wait. Seriously, pull up
white Fiat white Fiat station wagon.
Yeah, we'll just know Gary Hinman. Gary Hinman Fiat. Fuck, bro. What a pile. Like when I was dealing drugs and out there doing fun shit as a young man, yeah, I drove Volkswagens, but they were hot Volkswagens. I had big 6 street race motors and all my shit because I want to get the fuck out of there. I lived in a really sketchy neighborhood known as Hunters Point. It was literally the only white person
San Francisco
in many miles. So I'm out there. They just let me be because I was like a weird snake or something. So I had basically what was a drag bug that I was driving around in. I had that
That's a
61,
sleeper, bro.
had a 61 with a big motor in it. That bus, it was identical to Hinman's because I got it at that time in my life. And thing was, you always had every single turn signal working. You had your tail lights. You always made sure your shit was perfect and looked stock. Okay. You did not want to get pulled over with 3 pounds of fucking dope in the back of your VW, man, with long hair looking like a shit bag. This was in 92. What the fuck were these people thinking in 69 that they were so fucking bulletproof? They could drive around in this monstrosity with uneven headlights, no fucking grill.
And we mentioned it a couple episodes ago, Bobby Beausoleil driving that thing through San Luis Obispo, and next thing you know, the floorboard falls out of it. He's like Fred Flintstone style, feet hanging out of the bottom of this thing.
Right? And then he's got Gail and the baby
Now,
up there.
now, one thing that I don't think a whole lot of people know is Gary Hinman had a third vehicle. He had a Nash Metropolitan, which was broken down most of the time. And Bruce Davis talks about this. Glenn Krell also mentioned it. Now, the rumor is, and I don't know if this is true, I need to try to get some confirmation on this, but allegedly Susan Atkins took that Nash Metropolitan and dropped it down in Compton or Watts. Wanted it to get picked up as a stolen vehicle in an African-American community. It was a part of the race war.
And a precursor to the great gangster anthem, "We Want Chillin', Chillin' in Compton." Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Those things that come together. And again, the reason why people would do that, let's just say it was true. Okay. The credit card and out in Newhall where there's absolutely no black people.
Yeah.
But let's say there was credence to that. Hey man, again, we go to a different time. The reason why someone might do that in the time of Helter Skelter wouldn't be necessarily to spark a race war. It's so the lead doesn't go anywhere. You want to know why? Because the general running law enforcement attitude was, oh, looks like a bunch of spades did it. And that could be the end of something at that time. Is it right? Is it anything? Whatever. Let's just call it what it is. 1969, a pack of spades did it, Your Honor.
Black Panthers, huge at the time. Bunchy Carter assassinated right there at UCLA in 1968.
The body in Griffith Park
Yep.
that they thought was Bernard Crowe.
Mhm.
A lot of that. People were scared as shit up in Ridgecrest. I remember early 70s, like 71. People talking about the black Muslims. The black Muslims. They're the radical ones. I'm not saying all black people. We had friends, of color. So, my parents weren't so lame that they would say shit like, well, we have the Dixons in our life. They babysit our children. We are friends. We trust our love. You know what I mean? Wasn't that fucking lame? But people wanted to distance themselves definitely in polite company from any type of ties to the black Muslims.
Yeah. And what's interesting is one of my former colleagues that I had a relationship with for 7 or 8 years was one of the founding members of the Black Panthers in Oakland, Dr. Harry Edwards Jr., which is he went to San Jose State, started a lot of the great things in the civil rights movement there. John Carlos and the Olympic boycott, they raised the black fist on the medal stand of the Olympics. That was organized by my friend, Harry Edwards Jr. He told me story. When I worked for the 49ers for years with him. We would take these cross country flights where I'd just sit there and ask him questions about the civil rights movement, about his relationship with Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X. He told me about Tupac's mother, who was a Black Panther in Oakland. A lot of interesting
I met
stuff.
her later.
Yeah. So shout
She's a
out
real
Doc.
trick.
Doc,
Sure.
I need to go visit him. I actually, his name just recently popped up for me in my research. I was doing some research on a member of the Process Church of the Final Judgment who had a cult chapter in San Jose.
Who often gets tied with
Yep.
Charles Manson.
Often gets tied, was a provider of leather goods, some of which I believe that David owns here, which I believe came from this individual shop down in Goleta, California, known as
Again,
something leathers.
Yeah, again, we'll think
Yeah.
about that, but I'm just gonna jump up and ruin this whole shot for y'all. This is so unprofessional and such a mess.
Please do.
I'm gonna go grab a personal object time because again, it's all about these coincidences.
Show and tell, baby.
We keep folding into coincidences, right? And if we're gonna talk about these leather goods,
Some of you have been waiting a long time to see this piece.
I'm not gonna flash the whole Jimmy, okay? Because I mean, come on, dude. There's a book. There's a book.
Coming up soon.
Book. So sorry, Ultraly, I couldn't tell you more. This object right here is what we're talking about. It's a piece of leather thong. Go ahead.
Yep.
Feel free to touch it. Ooh, that really truly exists. So the gentleman you're talking about
Victor Wilde.
had this in his stock. Okay. It was then handled, possessed, and physically used by Ms. Lynette Cromie on her personal vest. I'm going to put this back now, but
As
we'll talk
seen-
more about
As seen in the Robert Hendricks documentary, Manson.
Hendricks.
Also the second, the Inside the Manson Gang. But going back to the Black Panthers. So what Bugliosi has asserted is that this Fiat that Bobby was driving up the Bay Area was allegedly supposed to be dropped off in Oakland, another Black community, and that Charlie was supposed to pick up Beausoleil. And they were
after
leave
he saw Gail and the baby.
in the same lines that Susan of her possibly dropping the Metropolitan in Compton, he was going to drop the Fiat in Oakland.
But again, I don't think that indicates helter skelter race war theories. I've accused Black people of shit that I didn't know because in the time it wasn't to get the other dude in trouble. It was a fucking anonymous thing to do. I don't know. Some Black dude came up, fucking smacked me. You know what I mean? If I've been smacked by a Black dude, fucking A. But maybe it wasn't that exact afternoon. But if you don't want to talk about it, you know what I mean? You could just say stupid shit like that back in the day. All right, David, we know you bought the drugs. You bought the drugs. I don't know. There were some Black guys. I don't know. That was the fucking end of it, bro. And that's the 80s.
Yeah.
But you think about these things and they get spun into this other thing. Trying to get rid of a hot car. You're not going to go fucking dump it in Pacific Heights, a rich neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to dump it in a shitty ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who happens to live in ghettos?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily.
He's in the ignition.
I don't necessarily buy into it as like a spark of the race war, but I do find it interesting, and I think the motives are there because you want to disappear the fucking car, leave the keys in it in the fucking ghetto. They'll go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who the fuck cares? Like, that's just criminal. Again, logic of a criminal. It's not.
You know what's funny is in San Francisco now, you can leave the keys in your car. They're not going to take your car, but they might use it as a urinal. It's considered an outhouse in the city.
So we're such a weird place where I guess in these Arab countries too, you'll see American women. They're not prostitutes because they'll be dressed like prostitutes. They're toilets. Like dudes, I guess they want to poop on these girls or something, like, or pee on them or something. Who is that? Where we're at, bro? Like, kids
YouTube is
can't.
gonna kill us.
Kids can't drive a stick shift, but they'll eat a goddamn Tide Pod and fucking piss in your car. Like, just take the fucking thing. I don't want it back.
Yeah.
Like, is that where the fuck shit is right now? Like, what the fuck? And that's what Charlie talks about. So when I read I love reading these books because I'll be thinking this kind of stuff in my daily, like, what the fuck is going on with the world? And then you read about Charlie, and then because we have the internet, you'll get to see the actual video of the interview they're transposing. And he'll say what I'm thinking now, but he did it 40 years ago.
Man, you hooked me up with that great group. What the WTF?
WTF in Ridgecrest, California, man.
Hey,
Facebook shout out, WTF
dude,
in Ridgecrest.
I see so many things in there that just crack me up.
Love you, boys.
The other day I was watching a video in there, and these people were standing around this car, and rats were falling out of the inside of the bottom of the car, eating all the wires and stuff, man, as the people are standing there next to their car talking.
Like, what the fuck ever, dude? That's goddamn Ridgecrest.
Desert rats.
You can't make this shit up. The most seismically active place on earth. Fucking Manson family hanging out when I'm growing up. 125-degree heat. I didn't have a hat. Who the fuck wore a hat? You put baby oil on your head to try to get a motherfucking tan while you're frying literally eggs on a sidewalk in a contest. What was going on? It was a different world, man. You would dump cars in the ghetto and just walk away from
Bro,
them.
I had no idea until I met you, and until I got in this group. I had been to Ridgecrest a few times. I had no idea.
Dude, they are wild people. The town is, in my entire experience, been an armed mining camp.
It's the Old West, the Wild West.
It is.
The last American frontier.
You'll have the greatest technology on earth. And guess what? I read about a dude who yesterday tuned into WTF in Ridgecrest, California. Dude got in his second high-speed chase of the week. My buddy, I know this guy, talked to him on the phone regularly, Sergeant Groves, did the first arrest.
One wasn't enough.
No, dude, where the fuck, respectfully, where the fuck are you gonna go? It's 100 fucking miles from absolutely everything.
Yeah.
There ain't shit. Dude, it's a bunch of straight roads. Dude, the birds are going to get up. They got the chopper. You're done, kid. You're just going to run out of gas. So what happened, right? He either crashes out or his car breaks down. Those are the two options.
Yeah.
So, of course, it blew his fucking car up. Now he's in jail the second time. Poor old fucking transplant. It's a crazy fucking town. So that's why I didn't think this stuff was real.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it, dude.
Yeah, it must have been a trip reading that and your town being featured in it.
Oh, to see the map, and Ridgecrest is on any type of map because my entire life was split between there and Texas and other places that were more populated. They'd be like, I did. You're from California. You surf, bro. Like, no, dude, I'm from the desert.
Yeah.
And they're like,
have you ever seen Star Wars?
yeah, they had no concept of what you're talking about, much less, well, what's the name of it? You never heard of it, dude. Forget it. It's right. He got arrested in Ridgecrest a couple of times, allegedly. There's the 59 Buick that Terry Melcher bought from Bud Air Chevrolet. I have the license plate frame that was on my father's 1950 GMC that it came with. And it's
a ton of those vehicles that were up at Barker Ranch that got towed out. They got towed into Lone Pine and Alancha and Ridgecrest, right?
Absolutely.
Their final resting places.
And a lot of them were stolen from that area of Ridgecrest, especially, but also in Yokern. Like the one truck that was out there at Ballarat forever.
Power wagon, yeah.
Power wagon, that was stolen from Inyokern, California.
And they broke it down. They're using it for parts, huh?
Absolutely. To fix the Beausoleil truck, which is still out in Ballarat, California. If you get a chance to get out there, do see our friends out in Ballarat. Wonderful folks. You know what they got? Which I really wish they'd send me some. They got a little coffee mug.
Nice.
Camp one, you know, like the enameled coffee cup for the morning, for the top of the morning. I really like a set of those. That'd be.
Is it like a Moscow Mule cup or what?
No, it's like a enameled. I don't know if it's steel or you know what the base metal is, but
Yeah, I like that.
it's usually it's like a cast iron
Yeah.
enamel piece, but it's a coffee mug. And as a kid, we'd camp out in Death Valley and we'd take those. I don't know if it was for effect or if it was like a real deal thing, but because they didn't break or whatever, but we'd actually camp with those using our bread trucks, much like the Manson family and Diane Lake's family, old Chance, and then would use bread trucks. We would use ours and go out to Darwin Falls and different places like that in Death Valley and camp a lot with our little coffee cups, our cowboy coffee cups. So check out Ballarat. They're
really doing a lot to fix that place up, which is nice.
I'm glad they're embracing it. I'm hoping that Independence, California will get over itself. They've got such a big log up their ass. I really wish
they're ashamed of all this Manson stuff.
And it's
hidden away in the back room of the museum.
Which is a wonderful place. If you get a chance to go, really make time to check out the Shoshone basket collection. Shout out to the museum there.
You know, it was my boy Cowboy's aunt that made a lot of those baskets. You know, those baskets cost $30,000 a piece.
I would assume at least that.
Wow.
No, my stepfather was a great collector of especially basketry and certain types of Zuni pottery. He just liked the form. He really was really into high contrast patterns. And if y'all get out there, again, I didn't understand. Man, one more thing for Cowboy to come on the show about. I in my heart, I know he's going to do it. I know he's just being salty and
he's
shucking us. I think he's going to come because we have nothing but respect for him. But if you don't know who we're talking about, we'll clarify later. But
he asks me every time. He says, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, I'm going out to see Dave. We're going to do a little bit of filming. What are you guys going to film a gay porno out there?
Every single time. I'm just, call me stud. Dude, I'm at the top in this flick. Don't think that I'm not going to give up those voluptuous curves to any old fool who comes by. Ooh, I'll run up on those things. It's called prison love, children. I'm not ashamed of that.
Gay for the stay.
Dude, you know, the thing with Cowboy is he's waiting for me to go reach around. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to take me to Brokeback Mountain, but what he doesn't understand is he's so fine. I'm such a delicious young cowboy myself. We're not going to get past Reach Around Ridge together.
He'll only come on here if you wear your taco hat.
Dude, you know what I didn't realize? I just throw it on. I didn't understand like the severe. I was kind of ashamed when I saw the creases. It was a little too much. I'm not that. I swear I'm not that urban of a cowboy. It came. I don't know. I think
it's a cool hat, man.
But, I love it.
But you know how these authentic cowboys are, right? It's got to be like their, way.
You know what I want? What I really, really want? I want to hang out with Cowboy and we can get our brims like dialed in. Brim shopping with the Cowboy. What do you got? Hey, let's vote on that. Should we go fucking brim shopping with Cowboy when he comes?
That would be cool.
I got a great Western store here locally, and then we can flip the script. We could do it in Lone Pine or something. Yep. I know there's some shit up there that's Western. But Independence, California, if you get up there, check out the ladies in the museums. They're usually there between Tuesdays. Wednesdays and Thursdays are good days. Make appointments. Tell them we sent you here at Twilight Garage. Try not to pester them. We're hoping we're going to get to do some photographing there to take some of the pressure off of them. But locally, some great dinners to be had, great places to stay. You can rent the cabins that the girls stayed in during the initial arraignment of Charlie and the original 27.
I love those pictures of Red and Blue and Ivan out there in front.
Our dear buddy Ivan Pooh, who hopefully we're going to be talking to very soon. And again, Ivan, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the culture of Twilight Garage, along with.
Oh, and shout out our boy Mike Bruner.
Well, that's what I
what
was
a
going to
guy,
say.
man.
My whole
Yeah.
thing is that to have the spiritual blessings of Ivan Pooh, of Michael Brenner, of Red Lynn Fromey herself, of our dear friend Bob, and these other people who are stepping out of the shadows to thank us for our efforts of trying to be kind and take in the entire picture, the human picture that it is, because these people have existed long past their punishment. And that's why we have such a depth of nuance here and why we care so deeply.
Mhm.
But to have them appreciate what we're doing spiritually makes us continue, makes us be able to enjoy this milestone here, episode 25.
25.
So thank you.
Producer Alex, congrats, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we want to thank you, Lynn, Michael, Ivan, everyone who's blessed us with the love, the original spirit of what we're doing. And humbly, thank you for spending your lives with us. Let's liven these comments up. It's all free.
one more week, people. Last week for the t-shirt giveaway. So make sure to invite your friends, tell them to get your name up in the comments as the catalyst for Twilight.
We just want to start giving stuff away. We're going to have some other gift packs happening because as this poor economy starts stretching his little wings to fly away, I'm hoping that we can be a little bit more generous and have some handmade gifts and some very seriously intimate surprises. In the meantime, Twilighters, thank you most humbly.